this video, I want to tell you some of the social skills that I see that I have improved because of tango. Welcome to Goodnight Tango. I'm Christos. I'm dancing tango for 9 years now, and for the last 4 years I'm also writing about that in my blog. Tango, as I said, is a dance, but beyond the dance is also a social activity because we call it a social dance. We go out to milongas and we dance with people that we know or we don't know. And that for me was one of the elements that I didn't really know when I started tango. I thought it was only going to be a dance. Maybe we'll have some kind of performance or something like that in the end of the class or something. But nothing like this happened. And I got invited to go to milongas, I got invited to go to practicas, and gradually I started becoming a member of a community. And through this, and through the experience in general in tango, I noticed that 9 years later, some of my social skills have improved. And I can point out specific things in tango that helped me improve these kind of social skills. So let's start with the first one. The more you advance in tango, the more you start to pay attention more and more to subtle cues in body language. You know, when you start a dance and someone gets in your embrace and feels uncomfortable, or they are a bit stressed, or maybe you see them outside of the dance floor and they feel stressed or anxious and you see them how they behave. You start noticing these kind of details a little bit more. In the beginning, maybe you don't pay so much attention, you're not so much concerned about that, but the more you grow, the more you see people around you in the community, the more you learn people around you in the community, you start noticing these kind of behaviors. When people feel happy, when people feel sad, they have some problem, you know, they feel distracted or whatever else. And this transfers outside of tango as well. So you start noticing this kind of behaviors and this kind of patterns outside of tango. The way somebody walks into a room, the way somebody sits in a meeting, the way somebody behaves in general in a group when you're out in a restaurant or whatever else. You understand a little bit more people and you understand a bit more the subtle cues of how people behave and what that tells about themselves at that moment. It's like your social kind of radar gets a bit sharper. The next thing I learned from tango in terms of social interactions is how to respect boundaries and how to set my own boundaries. There's a nice thing in tango that you cannot really go and invite somebody to dance by just going and grabbing them or, you know, personally going and asking them verbally to dance with you. There's this rule of the cabeceo where you need to look at them in the eye, nod at them, and if they accept, then you can go and start dancing. So this kind of behavior trains you a little bit more for setting some boundaries and respecting the boundaries of other persons. So if you see somebody and they don't respond to you and they don't acknowledge you, or maybe they reject you, you start learning how to respect that and not force it, not force somebody to dance with you. The same can happen also in real life. You learn how to not force people to interact with you, but instead you learn how to invite them to interact with you. In tango, we usually don't think about that, but in order to dance with somebody, you don't force them to dance with you. You just say, okay, I have some space, I have my embrace ready, and I want to dance with you. If you are okay with that, you are welcomed to come and dance with me. The same happens from both roles. I just presented maybe from the leader's perspective a little bit more, but in general, you set your boundaries, and when you are ready, you open a space and you say, okay, I'm ready for you. You can come to me and we can together start in this interaction of the dance. And this teaches you also how to interact with people outside of tango, you know, not forcing people to interact with you, but approach them more with kind of a curiosity and interest, and then let them know that they are welcome to interact with you, welcome to have this kind of interaction with you. You learn how to create some space for somebody invite them in and allow them to exist there and interact with them naturally without forcing it, without really insisting or pressuring the other person to have this interaction with you. This is much more powerful than, and it's much more magnetic and powerful than just being out there and, you know, trying to impress and trying to perform and trying to show to people that you care and whatever else. You just be there and create some space and say, okay, I'm ready. Whenever you like, we can have some discussion. And, you know, in the end, it works. Maybe in the beginning it feels strange, but in the end, it starts working and you start becoming a little bit more, you start seeing that you attract people and you attract interactions without really forcing it, without really, you know, pressuring yourself or pressuring others to do that. On top of that, you start becoming a much better communicator. The more you progress in tango, you start noticing more details in how your partner reacts and how your partner moves and how your partner feels. You understand this by the body posture, by their reactions, by their moves, the gestures that they make, many different things, even how they breathe. And this translates outside of the dance floor as well, because you start noticing in your interactions how the other people feel and you adjust accordingly. You start to listen a little bit better to what they say, and not only what they say in the surface, but you can understand a little bit more behind the words. And the other thing that comes with tango is that when you approach a tanda, with a stranger, with curiosity to learn how they move, who they are, and whatever else about them, you also transfer this kind of mindset when you approach somebody stranger in another social setting, in your work, for example. You stop trying to put yourself out there and impress or, you know, try to perform or whatever else, and you start listening a little bit more and reacting in a more mature way, in a more nuanced way that says, okay, I listen, I understand what you say, and this is my point of view. And you don't try to force your point of view to somebody else. You become a little bit more relaxed in how you accept other people and other points of view in general. You understand that not everybody is the same, and yes, there are different points of view, and we can still exist together and express our points of view without really having a fight. Before we move forward, let me know in the comments, have you noticed any changes in your own social skills that comes from tango, that comes from your involvement with tango? Speaking of fights, one other thing that you learn in tango from the interactions that you have is how to emotionally regulate yourself while you have interactions with other people. When you dance in tango, for example, and some mistake happens and some miscommunication happens and you step on each other or whatever else, your reaction to this dictates how the whole experience will feel in the end. If you laugh it out and you continue, move on, then it's okay. You just remember some funny accident that happened during the dance. If you point it out and try to blame the partner for what happened, or try to drill on that and understand why it happened and stop and, you know, try to lecture your partner, this obviously will ruin the experience. Not even ruin the experience, maybe you won't even dance with that person again in general. But yes, you start understanding that your reactions to mishaps, to things that don't go as planned, is what dictates the overall experience. So when you are out in your life and you are in your work life or with friends or whatever else, and something happens that doesn't go as planned, maybe you have a miscommunication with somebody or somebody expresses a view that you strongly disagree with, you learn how to regulate yourself and not jump into them directly and start a fight directly. You learn how to regulate yourself and, you know, relax. be a bit calmer and approach the whole conversation from a different perspective and try to find the common ground and in the end resolve the issue in a much nicer and more polite and more civilized, I would say, way than going to a fight and to a shouting game with the other person. Yes, I remember myself that I was in situations back years ago in my work life where I would disagree with people in meetings, and I would feel so upset and so stressed by all this situation. And right now, when I have the same kind of fights or when I have a disagreement with somebody, I always try to, at the time that we have a disagreement, stop and check myself and say, okay, why do they disagree? What is the real disagreement here? Where do they come from? Why do they express this kind of view? And then try to understand that and try to find the common ground and move on from there on. This is something that, yeah, I know maybe you can learn from life, from other situations, but within tango, when how you approach the interactions in your dance, it's also something that helps you understand and trains you a little bit more in that direction. And the final skill that I think is a game changer especially for leaders, for men in tango, is how to learn to go from control to connection. What I mean is that when we start tango, especially on the leader's role that I am more familiar with, you learn how to control your partner, or mostly you focus on how to control your partner, how to control their moves. And you learn how to maybe push and pull and all these kind of different things. And you try to force, kind of force your partner to do the things that you want to do. So you want them to do a specific step and you try to move your body in a way that they will be forced to do the things that you want them to do. But in the end, the more you progress in tango, you realize that you cannot connect with somebody by forcing or controlling the interaction. Instead of controlling the interaction, instead of trying to control the interaction, you have to change your mindset, and if you want to connect with somebody, you have to invite them. So imagine it like this: you do something, they do something, and then you do something, you do something, and this goes back and forward. So this kind of interaction style, this reciprocity, is what gives you the connection. In real life, this has application to many different levels. When you go out, when you meet some new people, this reciprocity helps in building a friendship. You share something about yourself, they share something about themselves. You have this kind of reciprocated disclosure that leads to a stronger relationship, to a stronger friendship gradually. When you have a discussion, you don't want to constantly control the discussion and the topic and force the other person to your point of view or whatever else. You start understanding that this kind of back and forth of the interaction is what will grow the connection between you. Otherwise, your interaction will come out as manipulative, maybe as forcing, and definitely it won't help connecting with people. So if you want to connect with people as a leader, when you progress, the more you progress, you start changing your mind, you start shifting your mindset, and instead of controlling the interaction, controlling how, or thinking that you can control, that's another whole different kind of discussion about that. But instead of controlling your partner, thinking about how to control your partner, you start thinking, okay, I don't want to control how they will do that. I just want to offer the time and the space and let them do whatever they want, and then react to that. And that gives a much more meaningful conversation and a much better ground for building a connection with somebody. And in real life, this is a skill that you need for working in a team, for collaborating with other team members, for building relationships, for building friendships, in many different things. Without connecting with other people, without knowing how to connect with other people, and without forcing this connection, but allowing to happen it organically, you cannot really progress in life. And this is a social skill that I think that we miss so much nowadays. And I think that more people should be trained on that. Tango is a very nice training ground for that. And yes, maybe you can find different ways to evolve and different ways to train on that. But yeah, for me, tango was the way to do that. Tango was the thing that helped me understand a little bit better how to approach these interactions and how to build connections with other people. So yes, tango might seem that teaches you posture, steps, movements, but in reality, the more you stay in tango, the more you also train your social skills. You learn how to listen better, read better other people, how to understand better other people, how to express better yourself with clarity. You learn how to communicate better, and in the end, you learn how to connect better with other people. And I think that is something that we really need in today's world. And if you want to find out how tango can help you in moments of loneliness in your life and how tango helped me in my moments of loneliness in my life, maybe the video over here will help you. Check it out and don't forget to move forward both in the dance floor and in your life. Bye!